Meeting. Thank you everyone for being on tonight. I wish we were live and in person. I hope everybody's well. First order of business on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the Park and Rec Commission meeting from June 10th. And if you guys would like to take a few minutes, I know that B had emailed those, and B, I sent a note just confirming those were put up on the town website. Has that been done, B?
That it would be Bill Cap. So I would say yes, it goes to him and to the town clerk. So
Excellent. Okay, super. Thank you. If you guys want to take a minute to look at the meeting minutes. And if nobody has any comments or changes, if anyone would like a motion to approve. See if I can see everybody at once so I can see the hands. All right, let's try that again. Thank you, Francesca. I see one. Do I have a second? Thank you, Matt and Laura. All right, with that, anyone opposed? All in favor? Thank you so much. I can see everyone. All right, second order of business, as we had last month, we have Caroline and Ariane back from Waveney Park Conservancy. Ladies, thank you for joining us. We're talking about the approval of the proposed kiosk with the map in Waveney Park. And in addition, the removal of the old existing map in its current location. Ariane, Caroline, who would like to take the lead here?
Ariane, go ahead.
Okay, so as per the good, great feedback from the last meeting, a 1 mile loop was added, which is the Pond Meadow Loop, which is actually a wonderful loop, actually a trail to highlight, since it is a new addition and really highlights what the town and the Conservancy has been working on together, highlighting all the projects. So actually that was a great recommendation to add that loop. What came of this, actually looking at what I hadn't added before, was probably the most significant addition is a QR code on the map, which would really, at the end of the day, is what probably people will most be using. Is they'll most be looking at their phones. If, you know, I realized as I'm walking more and more, and especially my teenage kids were saying, nobody, you know, you look at a map, you get there, it's nice information, but as you're going around, you're going, wait, where does this one trail head off to, or another one? You know, it's wonderful so when you just put it, you know, right up to that map. And we have on our website, and it could be also put on the town website, or, you know, the Waveney website, we have the map on there. So you just use your camera app and boom, you've got the map right up there. And really what's great about this is, as we're seeing constantly in the beauty of Waveney and all of our collaboration, is that constantly more improvements are being made, more trails might be a new driveway might be added. This will all be updated on our virtual map. So even if, you know, our map, which is pretty much covering a lot more than we ever had before, I think that in the end, the great thing is, you know, we have to get this done because of the NCCF grant, but we can constantly update this, and everybody will have access to the latest editions, the newest, you know, and we can even have that highlighted. One can go onto this map, which I'm working on now. Our map on the website is that you can click on a location, and I will have like explanations of the history of certain sites or dates or anything, just all kinds of information, where you click on, you know, the fountain and get the history of the fountain, or you click on the house, get information about that. So we can really do a lot with that. The QR code will really be helpful. And that was wonderful. The other second amazing development that I realized after working, you know, having this great designer, graphic designer who donated months and months of time, we saved money, and we had a $5,000 grant from the New Canaan Community Foundation. And I'm going, wait, And after talking to the actual production company and graphics who's doing it, it's going to be a little over 2,000 per sign. And I realized we can have 2 signs. So Rona, Caroline, and I have been like talking about like we can have a second sign, you know, maybe on the other, you know, we looked at where the South Ave, where the new trail that we put in a couple years ago that leads all the way down to South Avenue from the other end of the parking lot. If anybody's walking that way or walking towards the softball fields, there's another sign there for people to have more. And I know that was one of you brought that up, you know, if we could have more signs, it would be nice. So the great news is that we can now, we have the funding because we saved a lot on graphic design to have 2 signs now. So all in all, this has all been a good, productive month.
Thank you. I know we emailed the plan around, the revised final plan to everyone. Are there any questions or comments at this time? I know that Ariane mentioned the older sign. In place of the older sign, the exact location would go the new sign. I wanted to make sure that's aware, and it would obviously face and be pointing in a direction that where the house is on the map is where the map is situated. Am I explaining that correctly, Ariane?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions or comments? Go ahead, Carl.
I have a question. One thing I missed last time was how this is displayed. Is it like displayed under glass, where it's something printed under glass, or is it printed onto a board and you're actually touch the map itself? What sort of surface is it? How is it?
So it's exactly the same map as, it's the same design format as at Irwin Park.
Okay, yes, I'm familiar with that one.
Are you familiar with that?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that one, it's like stood the test of time. It's all metal, like a complete metal frame. I mean, this is nothing it can't deteriorate.
Right,
like
right.
the Boy Scouts map. This is that one is, so I really watched and felt like for the money, you know, that was, you know, looking at what other companies were charging, seemed really like a good, they seem to really know what they're doing.
Right,
and I've
right.
been in touch with them, and they said they would give me, you know, I really work with them to get a good price as a nonprofit. So that's why it was like, okay, can we do 2 signs for this amount? And so they agreed.
Right. So, I mean, so many of those maps that are printed onto the surface, you know, through time, people are putting their finger on it, like way here, and they fade away at that point. But I haven't seen that at the one at Irwin.
Not at all. Nothing. No deterioration. So, you know, I checked it recently again. It looks great. So I'm confident. Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Watch the screen. No. Okay. Thank you, Ariane and Caroline. Would someone like to motion to approve the new Waveney Park map kiosk to go in the existing location and removal of the old, with one additional location on the opposite end of parking, which is the new trail that goes down the hill, furthest away from the parking, furthest away from the street. I know that was a Steve Benko recommendation, to keep it away from car traffic. So 2 signs.
I think we have a picture of that where one would be. Tom has that.
You know
Great.
what picture that is?
The one with the man's holding the sign.
All right, let me pull that up.
Great. Thank you, Caroline.
I think that's this one. Is that it?
That's it.
So behind the man is the trail that takes you down the hill that formerly had the flooding issue and the water, which was subsequently fixed a good month ago or a month and a half ago. So the drive path, you can't even see it where he's standing. Again, we're trying to keep that map away from strollers and kids running in the wrong direction. So what is nice about this is the map where it is right now is people are used to it being there. This location is when people park closer to the carriage barn or the furthest lot from the Waveney house or the softball field. So what's nice is you're hitting both kinds of traffic, whether you get out of your car and go towards Lapham or you get out of your car and go towards South Ave. So we hit both crowds with 2 maps. And the QR code in the bottom right, just to mention that one more time, I'm a huge fan of that. With devices and iPhones and, getting your immediate map. And so you're basically taking the map with you on your iPhone as you take that hike or walk.
Here
That's
it
how
is.
big it is.
Some of you
Oh,
have
that, I see.
a document. There it is down there.
And you can actually, if you have the digital map yourselves, like whenever you want tonight, you can just put that up on your screen, hold your phone to it, put the camera up on it, and it'll pop up. The map will pop up digitally. So you can try it on the screen yourself at home. It'll work. So you can see how it actually functions.
That's great. Thank you, Tom. Wonderful, thank you. All right, do we have a motion to approve the map and put it in 2 locations? The first location is the current older map to be removed and placed there, and the second is on the other end of the parking lot. Thank you, Jean, and I have a second. I think Steve Haberstraw had his hand up. Thank you. So the motion to Jean and second to Steve. Anyone opposed? All in favor? Thank you so much. Thank you
I'm
very
sorry,
much.
Rhoda, it's just, do we have a quorum? I'm just wondering about that.
Yeah, a quorum is 5.
Okay, good.
8 people.
Yep.
I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, we have everyone. Yes, Francesca sent me a text. We're all set.
Oh, sorry about that redundant.
That's all right. It's okay. Redundancy is good, making sure we're on the right page. Thank you so
Rana?
much. Go ahead.
Rana, just one comment. I just want to say to Ariana and Caroline, you guys have been a pleasure to work with.
Oh,
Really.
thank you.
Your great patience and flexibility. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's been a great process and it's going to be a wonderful product.
Yeah.
And I hope
Thanks
you'll-
again, ladies. Thank you so much. I did not ask at the beginning, my apologies, if there was any public comment, if you just want to give a wave or I'll address you by name. Hi, Betty, I see you. Just remember to unmute, Betty, if you want to go ahead.
First of all, when you approve the minutes, I went on the town website and the June 10th minutes are not posted.
Okay, thank you for
All right.
confirming that.
And then I just had a punch list of things. It refers to the email I sent you this morning.
Yes,
Okay, and this is going to be quick. There's an issue with brush and weeds starting up by the Kiwanis Park sign. It goes all the way up to the power line, and we'd like to meet with the park department and tree warden, if possible, the neighbors down here, to walk through the items that we have issues down there, because it really looks unpleasant, and there are realtors coming down on the weekend with people to bring them to the beach, so that area really needs cleaning. I also recommended that we have a bottle refill at the water fountain like we have in other parks. Kiwanis Park doesn't have any. And even when the beach is there, there's no way to even get a mouthful of water. So Waveney has one, Irwin Park has it. It's a bottle refill, not just the water fountain.
Betty, if I can interject, we can't have water fountains in the parks right now because of the DECD ruling. That's why the water fountains are turned off.
Right, and there's
No,
no
I know
bottle,
water
there's no
fountains
bottle
turned
refill in
off.
Irwin or Waveney.
Wait, yeah, but the refill works, doesn't it?
The
bottle-
Can't have water fountain.
But
We would have to put one in separate.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm recommending that we do in the future, that we have a bottle refill at Kiwanis like we have in the other parks. I'm
Betty, we don't
also
have them in the other
recommend-
parks.
What?
But we don't have them in the other parks, but we are looking at putting in a bottle refill station because that's the only thing we can put in. So we are looking at putting one of those in each park. We have monies for them, but we don't have bottle refill stations at any park at present. And the water
It's
fountains
not
have all
in-
been either taken
it's
out
not in
or
Irwin?
removed. No. We have a
Well,
water fountain that
and
had to be taken out.
And recommend putting a sandwich board like the YMCA has underneath the Kiwanis Park sign to advertise the beach. We have in the pavilion, there's a cork board, but it doesn't say the hour. So people come in, they think the park is open at 5, they think it's open at 5:30. So it's a lot of confusion down there. People don't know where to get passes. They come to Kiwanis Park looking to purchase a pass there. I also recommended that we have scanners like we have at Waveney Park and a credit card machine that we have like we do at Waveney Park.
We do have it.
So,
We're in the office. We have a pass scanner and we have a credit card machine, but we're not charging guest fees at Kiwanis.
No, I know that, but they don't have a credit card machine in Kiwanis.
We didn't put it in because we're not charging a guest fee.
No, I know you're not charging. I know you're not charging this year. I'm aware of
Credit
it.
card machine there, because we're not charging for it.
Betty, what else do you have on your list? That way we can address them.
I think that was it. The planters are being addressed, but the umbrellas were not installed properly, so they don't close. Steve is aware of it, but it still has been 2 weeks that it hasn't been fixed. The new shade umbrellas.
Right. Thank you for that. Steve, we're able to put signage in the corkboard area as far as the hours.
We'll make some
Thank
signage up and posted.
Great. And
Thank
Dee,
you.
I know you're confirming with Bill Cap that the minutes will be posted so that they're out there for the public and for Betty, et cetera.
Yeah, they can't be posted until they're approved.
You
So,
can't
Okay.
post it until approved.
so
Okay.
now that they're
Okay,
approved, they
thank
can be
you.
posted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betty.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? I'm watching the screen. Thank you so much. Tiger, you're next on the agenda with the DPW director update.
All right, well, thank you for having me. Just to address Betty's comment about brush, we have 2 brush cutting machines in our departments. The Parks Department actually utilizes the highway machines to cut Kiwanis. But one of our machines is down, and due to the fact that we're getting so much growth and sightline problems all throughout town, sightline issues take precedent over whether or not there's brush cut along the side of Kiwanis Park. So until I get all the sightlines opened up throughout the town, I can't allocate that piece of machinery to come down to the parks to do any work anywhere else. So we will be working towards that. Hopefully next week we can get that, but until that time, I can't do that. As far as our update, I think I had on there about the Waveney parking lot and the Waveney Road, or I guess you would call it the access road between the high school property and the park itself. The selectmen recently approved the final design for the work as far as final engineering and final drainage design. We've spoken to Inland Wetlands about the design itself. She feels that can be handled administratively. We are in discussions with Tennessee Gas, and until the design is finalized and it's approved by Tennessee Gas, there's no need to come back and talk to the commission or to the BOE. The BOE would like to see the road go in only because now they're looking at some traffic issues and some alternative ways to get children in and out of the high school, or children, parents, and teachers in and out of the high school because of the coronavirus for the school opening in September. So we are pushing quite heavily to try to get that accomplished, but at present we don't have a work product to show you apart from what we had already given. We're hoping to have it all completed in time, but at present we're working on that. The other item was Farm Road. Sorry, go ahead, Francesca.
So as I understand you, the access road between the high school and Waveney is going to be used for high schoolers to go through?
I didn't say it was going to be used. Right now, they're looking at all their alternatives, and there's a possibility of that.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the high schoolers or it's the teachers or it's the parents, but one of the major problems you have anyways is the fact that you have one means of egress and ingress into the school and one road associated with it with traffic lights on either side. So from an emergency management standpoint, coronavirus aside, it's not the best situation. So you'd want to have a secondary means of egress. So this access road leading out into Waveney would be a very, very good thing to have. regardless of whether or not it's utilized for alternative traffic means at present. But
And the fact that people can go through there now, is that,
no
what's
one
that
can go through
about?
there now. No one can go
The
through there
rock
now.
has been moved so that cars can go through.
Oh, the rock is back where it's supposed to be. Somebody moved the rock out of the way. You know, there.
Okay, that's been put
I
back.
can't help you with that. You know, if someone wants to go out there and move stuff around, we have vandalism quite often in the parks, unfortunately, and quite often in town, and that's the nature of the beast.
Okay, just as long as you tell me it wasn't done deliberately. All right.
No, there'd be no new reason for it to be done deliberately. We don't have access between the two. There's no connectivity between the path that went to the summer theater and the road itself, the access road that leads to the water towers. There's no connectivity. We didn't construct anything yet. So there'd be no reason for us to have it. Yeah, Caroline.
How are they going to control the gates, and when are people going, who's going to control when it's locked and unlocked? And
those are discussions that'll happen between the Park and Rec Commission and the BOE, if and when the road actually gets approved by Tennessee Gas. We have to get approval to go over the top of the easement that they have over the gas line. So until I get approval, there's no real reason to get everyone in the same room. The thought is that there'll probably be dual gates, one at the bottom and one at the top, and then it'll be controlled individually by the separate entities with an agreement as to what timing it's open and what time it's closed.
When you say separate entities, you mean the high school, or?
The BOE controls access to their property, and Park and Rec will control access to the park itself. So, and there is plans for a parking lot in the middle. So the thought is you could have a gate on either side, and you could have it closed on the high school side and access the parking lot from one side, and closed on the Waveney side and access it from the high school. That's the reason for the two gates.
Mm-hmm.
But I would imagine that the discussion between the two groups should be quite amenable, and a resolution should be quite handily available. I'm hoping, at least. Given the current circumstances and the current state of affairs, I think it behooves everybody to sit down in a nice manner and figure it out. The other one was farm road fields, the drainage on the farm road fields.
Yeah.
We had it designed, our town engineer designed it, Maria Coplet. She did a fantastic job. The contract was awarded on Tuesday by the Board of Selectmen. Went to bid. Contract was awarded by the Board of Selectmen on Tuesday, and the contractor was out there this morning. So he did some work, some investigative work on what needs to be done. We have a good idea of how we're going to tackle the drainage issues there. He does have to vacate for about a week, only because he is also the low bidder on the sightline improvements for Route 123 and Michigan Road, and that has to take precedent over some drainage at Waveney. So he's going to go take care of that now that we have a state permit for that work, and then he'll come back. The next measure of business would be to come back to the farm road fields and take care of that. I would imagine in the next 2 weeks he'll be back.
And Tiger, this was bonded. This was there before, correct?
This was a carryover capital item. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I think it was tax supported capital, not bonded, but I'm not quite certain.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I think that's all I had, unless you have questions about anything.
Thank you. I appreciate your update.
The Mead Park Hard Court you didn't talk about, and that's listed on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. So the hard court at Mead Park, we are at I won't call it an impasse, but we're at a stasis point. The quotes that we're receiving from contractor are greater than the allotment of monies available at present that we had asked for from the Board of Finance. So we are looking at the fact of regrouping, going back before the boards through the budget cycle, getting monies reallocated or additional monies allocated for that work, and then bidding that in the January, February timeframe, and going out and working on it come April 1, or the first available time frame we can get out, March 15, April 1 of next season, assuming that they approve the additional funding. So the thought would be, the other thought is if we tried to do it now, one, tennis is booming, so we don't really want to take any courts out of service. And two, if we were even thinking of trying to go get additional monies at present, I don't think it would be looked upon favorably, A, and B, even if we were to, by the time we finish construction, it would be so late in the season, it might not necessarily be worthwhile. So the thought is to go back into the normal cycle, go before the boards for additional monies for the work, and then have those appropriated, and then start the work in the spring, early spring.
Tiger, had it gone to bid previously and prices had just gone up that much, or were we stuck due to COVID? And
no, that the problem was that the scope of work just
keeps getting larger.
Yeah, the asphalt underneath the hard surface, underneath the all season surface, is beyond its useful life. The trees that were planted alongside to screen off the railroad tracks in the tennis courts, all the roots have grown underneath it, popped the entire surface themselves. So you can't necessarily use the asphalt anymore. You'd have to take it all out. So the original thought was we were actually going to be able to reutilize that asphalt. We can't. So now we're looking at having to change the scope, take all the material out, put in basically a pre-stressed deck similar to what we did at the high school for the tennis courts there, incorporate that with the practice wall, and make a large pickle and practice wall set up all in one shot, and get the grades all the same. So right now there's a step off between the all-season court and the the practice court. There would be one continuous grade all the way through. So I think it'd be a much better work product in the end, a much better product overall for anyone wanting to utilize it for pickle or practice. But the thought is that, yeah, we, due to the fact that the scope of work has changed dramatically, we need to go back for some additional funding.
What's the order of magnitude? Is it 10% above?
No, it's going to cost about $140,000 to do to put in the pickleball courts.
Or to make it useful for tennis, right? It would be for both.
Yeah, I can add to what Tiger's talking about. Originally, that was designed as an area could be flooded in the wintertime, and you could skate on it, and then you play tennis.
Yes, you've told us that.
It was a big bowl. And then about 25 years ago, it needed to be resurfaced. So what they did, instead of doing the whole area, they didn't have money. They put that piece of wood across one end, filled it into the top of the berm, and then paved it. And then that started to crack. And we about 15, 16 years ago, we added the premier court surface to it. And what happened is that the asphalt underneath continued to deteriorate over the last 15, 16 years. So even though we had that cushioned surface on it, the sub base was just going away. So what Tiger's talking about doing is taking the whole area now. So instead of having the drop down with the practice wall, is make it all one level area, and it'd be a lot better for everything. It'd be more consistent.
I understand that, and that's great. My question is, it's not going to be dedicated pickleball. It's going to be tennis and pickleball. No.
According to some of the consultants, they feel that it would be better served to be just all pickle and take away the all season surface from tennis and just make them all pickleball courts. Once you start playing pickle on it, you can't play tennis, and if you play tennis, you can't play pickle at all. So the thought is to just convert them over to pickleball. I know my town took 6 tennis courts away and put all pickle in just past through the coronavirus, actually through April and May. And now they're swamped with people, whereas before they were sporadically used.
That's a weird proposal, I think. It's always been a tennis court that was a hard court there. When
doesn't mean that it
dedicated
can't be, Francesca. It's just an idea. So, all it'll be is a clean surface, one grade all the way across. So you can have a practice area in the back. And one of the scenarios or one of the layouts was to convert it all to pickle. And according to the consultants and people that we've spoken to, that's the course of action that most towns are taking. It doesn't have to, but we're not at that point to make that decision either, because we haven't striped it yet. We need to get an entirely level surface so we can figure it out.
Oh, the reason for my questioning is because that's the only black backboard in all of New Canaan. There isn't one at the high school. That's the only backboard for tennis.
We're
up
not saying
there.
take that away. The backboard will be there. It's just.
The backboard
whether-
would still be there. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we weren't proposing to take that away. No, that practice area will still be there. You could still utilize it for that. It was just a question of as to whether or not do you have the other courts striped for tennis and pickle or just pickle alone.
I understand. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Thank you, Tiger.
Yeah.
Thank you, Francesca. Go ahead, Hank.
Tiger and Steve, the tree root problem, does that go away or
We're gonna cut the trees down and then replant.
we
But
will
with
be
a
cutting them all
pre-stressed,
down?
with a pre-stressed deck, well, one, they're not in the best shape anyways, but with a pre-stressed deck, the deck will actually be over the top of the tree roots and the tree roots won't cause a problem in the future.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. But by the time we take out the surface with all the tree roots underneath it, we're gonna wind up decimating so much of that, so much of that root structure, we're gonna have to take those trees down anyways. So that they're at a loss when we go to take the material out. So that's why we'll replant. But when we replant in the future with a pre-stressed deck, we won't have concerns from the tree roots.
Thank you, Tiger.
You're welcome.
Those courts have been out of use or in disuse since at least 2015. Wouldn't you say that's correct, Steve?
No, the hard cart, that hard cart's been used all along. I mean, it's time, it's over 15 years old. It's time to replace. It's exceeded its useful lifetime, 15 years. And if we do the service, I suggest we put the cushioning surface back on it, because it's really comfortable for people's feet and legs and stuff. So I wouldn't leave it a painted surface like we have at the high school. Put the cushioning surface back on it. It helps with your legs.
Thank you,
Okay.
Steve. All right, next, the chairman's report. Tonight, I think I saw that Aggie's on. I said hello. I really just want to, publicly applaud and reach out to Lynn Bond and what she's done and contributed and been a part of at Lapham Center, being with the town 32 years, maybe more than 32 years. I know that she retired from the full-time role, June 30th, and is with us part-time through COVID. And I think we're all very lucky that what effort she's done and what she's done for the town and for Lapham. So I really just wanted to take this moment to applaud her. I wish we were not in COVID and can celebrate her accomplishments in person. So I hope everyone will join me in the applause for her. And hopefully separately,
She's
there's
awesome.
something we can do. I'll speak to Kevin Moynihan, something special for Lynn for what she's done for the town and for Lapham. So
Rona, on Friday, I have a summer Zoom party that Lapham is putting on. And a bunch of people are hopping on to the party just to give her congratulations. So if any of you want to do it, I can send a invite to you guys. And it's a lot for the Lapham community, but any of you guys can hop on and say goodbye to her. Kevin's gonna hop on. I mean, I've got Nancy P coming in. I've got a bunch of people hopping on to just.
Will
say-
you send that to all of us? I'd definitely like to be there. Okay.
I'll send it to Rona. Rona can email it to everybody because I don't have to think I
Good.
have everybody's email. But yeah, just doing a little something till we can do a real party.
Thanks,
Excellent.
Aggie.
Thank you, Aggie. That sounds great. I'll send that around to everyone.
Okay.
And thank you so much. And our next meeting, just a reminder, we are not here in August. We skipped the month of August for Parks and Rec meetings. Our next one is September 9th. We'll cover some updates on the Nature Center with Jean. We'll also cover, we'll do a little update on Mill, Dixon, and Mead Park, maybe with Laura and Francesca. So stand by for those updates in September.
I might not be here September, just FYI.
Thank you, Francesca. I'll get with you separately then. And then Rec Director's report, Mr. Banco.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's been a busy month since June 10th. Things have changed in the state. They've opened different venues up and whatever. So the pool was able to open on the 17th of June, and that was successful. We've had nice crowds, people coming, enjoying. They're happy to be there. People we're the biggest challenge, keeping people practice social distancing. We are allowed to have a maximum of 320 people sitting on the lawn. They can't sit in the deck area. We can have 250 50 people in the water by the 50% code rule. So far it's been pretty good. We've had a good turnout. I think I sent Hank or Steve the information. So they can discuss that in their report. But we've had good turnouts. People are coming and they're enjoying it. The swim team is going to have its first swim meet tomorrow. It'll be a virtual meet. The Fairfield County Swim League is doing something using Swimming League. So you swim at your own club, and everything gets fed into a computer, and the computer gives you the results. So that'll be interesting to see how that works. Kiwanis, we were able to open up weekday evenings. There was some confusion in the time, but the Y has the park till 5:30. So we're bringing our staff in at 5 o'clock to prepare the beach area, public beach area, and the park is open from 5:30 to 7:30 weeknights for the public. And we're open from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekends. So, and we've had some people coming on the weekends, which is good. We're averaging probably 65 to 75 people a day on Saturday and Sunday coming to the park. So that's good. We had a problem with the well. A week ago Sunday night, there was a small electrical storm, but there was a power surge about 7:30 at night. I don't know if people saw it at their home. The lights went off and on, off and on. When I went to the park on Monday morning to check things, the power was off in the pump house, and we had to have the breaker replaced. And when I threw the breaker out for the pump, it kicked off right away. So we had to order a new pump. And with COVID, the supply houses aren't keeping a lot of things in stock, so they had to order the pump specially, and it took a week to get it with the holiday last weekend. So the pump arrived at the well person on Monday afternoon, and I met him Monday night, and we saw the pump, and we had it up and running about 10 o'clock at night, so it's good. I don't know if I lost you guys.
No, somebody's sharing something about Zoom right now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think it's Hank Green. He needs to stop sharing.
Okay. But anyway, so Kiwanis is up and running, and I took water quality tests again today. Our water quality tests were pretty good. They're well within the state standard. So if we get the pumps running well, we'll be in good shape. Our day camp opened up for both Waveney and Kidsville. We're starting our third week of camp this week. I can't believe 2 weeks already gone by. But we have 30 children at Waveney camp and 10 kids at the Kidsville camp, and so far things are going well. Our tennis clinics are really going well. They're fantastic. They're really well subscribed. We've got more people this year and kids involved in our tennis clinics we had in the past, which is great. We have a men's tennis team that plays on Wednesday nights, and they have 5 home matches and I think 4 away matches. So they were supposed to have a match tonight, but got postponed to Tuesday because of the weather. Waveney House we're still not open to the public. We're waiting for the new guidelines to come out for phase 3. The other day, the governor announced that he was delaying phase 3. So hopefully we'll get further guidance on what they're going to allow for numbers of people that can come into Waveney. We do have some events booked for the end of August and early September. And so we've got to find out how many people can come to an event. So hopefully those will be announced shortly. We had hoped to resurrect our summer concert series, but with the governor postponing phase 3, it changed some of the rules. Right now, you can have a concert. You have to have 15 feet between groups that are sitting. You can some towns have painted circles, 10-foot circles, and you go 15 feet, 10-foot circles. But now you'd have to have a reservation system, and someone's got to count people. You only have a max of 500 people, and to do that, it's going to take a lot of personnel to count people in, check off who came, who didn't come on the reservation. So I think we're going to wait to see what the governor's guidance comes back. Because supposedly in phase 3, you can have an unlimited number of people, but still have to practice a 15-foot distancing. So our plan was to have 5 concerts. The one the last Wednesday in July and 4 in August. I'm hoping we can salvage 2 or 3 of the concerts in August with the guidance of phase 3. Our men's softball league started up last week. They're playing, so we've got 8 teams playing our league, and they're playing about 3 or 4 nights a week. So, and the youth sports have all picked up. We have the girls softball is playing, youth baseball is playing at Mead Park. The athletic foundations rented the turf fields at the high school out for lacrosse practices and camps. The the tennis courts are open, Mead Park's getting used, the high school court's still getting used. We've cut back our staffing a little bit. The high school, we're only have from 8 a.m. to 12 noon a weekday during the day, and from 4 to 7 at night. And we'll do the same thing on weekends. But we're still taking reservations, and people are utilizing the high school courts, and having the reservation system is cut out a lot of non-residents. We just come in and take the courts over. So I think it's people are appreciative, and it's doing very well. So, but it's busy, and we're trying to keep ahead of everything.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much for that update. I don't see any hands up.
Sounds good.
It does. Thank you, Francesca. I'll move to Park Superintendent's report. I know that John Howe isn't here, but Todd Declan is with us. Todd, you want to unmute and give us an update?
Yes, we got a couple things. The irrigation that was broken down in Mead Park has been fixed for the Little League fields that was going across the roadway.
Great.
It's all up and running. And then last week during that lightning storm, we had our lightning sensors got struck.
Oh.
So they're still working at Mead Park and Irwin because it's on a different part of the system, but the other ones are out. So we should have everything back by next week, up and running again.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
And that's it.
Appreciate the update.
No problem.
I know for committee reports tonight, we have tennis, pool, and paddle. I know for pool, Steve Dayton will have you give an update on the pool, and tennis and paddle, Steve, Carl, Francesca, Hank will await on a raised hand. So maybe Steve Dayton, if you want to start, and then we'll have Steve, Carl, Hank, and Francesca raise their hand to see who's up first.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Like Steve said, the pool opened on June 17th. We were actually supposed to open up June 20th. Then the governor gave us 3 days extra, so we were able to open on the 17th, and we were ready because we were a little proactive. Steve let us start working there, even though we weren't sure if we were going to open it. So come 17th, we were able to open, and we are complying with all CDC and the governor's orders. There's really only 3 areas that a mask is not needed when you come to the pool. That's in the water and when you shower, but we're not offering showers, or when you're lounging on the grass area. We have signs posted up all over the facility on the rules, and we will not allow anybody in without a mask or a pass. So that's a good thing. People are very receptive to that. As far as passes, we have about 550 family passes sold, 115 individual passes, about 37 nanny passes, and 116 senior passes. We have a new umbrella in the kiddie pool. We had an old umbrella that we weren't able to get rid of the last couple of years just because of time constraints. It's one of the things we're able to get to, and we have a brand new umbrella in the kiddie pool. Looks really good. The concession stand is open
Great.
for business. He's there 11 to, we're open 11 to 8. He's there about 11 to 7:15. He's taking orders. People seem to be happy about that. The locker rooms are open just for bathroom use. They're being cleaned at least 3 times a day. The cleaning service comes, goes to the Lapham Center, comes to the pool, goes to Mead Park, and then goes to the bathrooms out on the fields up at Waveney. So she's rotating. She's coming faithfully, which is great. On the 4th of July, one of the good things, even though we didn't have the fireworks, we were able to keep the pool open a little later. Usually we close at 4 o'clock so we can get everybody in for the fireworks. But this year we kept the pool open until 7 p.m. and people were extremely grateful for that. They're very appreciative. Last but not least, we still have passes for purchase. So if you know anybody that wants to purchase them, tell them to give the rec department a call. And that's about it.
Right?
What's that?
The governor's committee changed the rule on swim lessons. So Rob Puller's we're able to offer private lessons to pool now.
Yeah, I forgot that one.
Thank you, Steve and Steve. That's great. Great update.
Nice job, Steve.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Appreciate Matt and Steve Dayton. All right.
Oh, can I ask one question about the pool?
Of course.
Because it was asked of me by one of the residents. We talked about it before. There's no smoking allowed at the pool, right? Is there signage saying so?
There's no signage, but yeah, there's no smoking allowed. We don't.
And not even outside on the sidewalk around it. Thank you, Steve.
I have a question too on the pool. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm actually kind of surprised that it hasn't sold out, given that people's summer plans have changed. Do you think there's a reason why?
Yeah, I don't think people are staying as long. 4th of July, I think we had probably about, I'd say 700 people come through and swipe their cards, but they'd only stay for about an hour, hour and a half, and then they'd leave. So you'd have people coming in and people are leaving just as fast as people are coming in. So, you know, I think that has a lot to do with it. And, you know, also, you know, sold out. It's more people than you think. I mean, 220 some odd people in the water is a lot of people. I have only counted 4th of July had the most was 100 people in the water. And, you know, if you look at that and then you look at it on the grass area, we can have 340 some odd people on the grass area. I'd say we have not had more than 200 people on the grass area. I mean, it's a lot of people, but
No, I guess I meant, I was referring to the actual pool passes for the season, the seasonal pool passes.
That is gorgeous.
Yeah, it might have something to do with the pool permits pulled, meaning to build, to have your own, to use other places. But it is surprising. And I think the rate this year for the pass for New Canaan residents was, you know, pretty reasonable. So Laura, I see where you would have the question. Like, it's surprising we're not sold out.
Yeah.
I think there's still people with fear.
Yep.
Yeah, Matt, good point.
Yeah.
Our seniors have not, we do not have as many seniors as in years past. I don't think coming to the pool.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Steve. All right, tennis and paddle tennis update. Thank you, Steve Haberstall. Just remember to unmute.
Let me share my screen as well. Hopefully this works okay. Can everybody see this?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Let me try one more time.
There we go. It's starting.
Great.
Excellent.
All right. So Steve covered a bit of this, so I'll run through. But obviously this year was challenging due to COVID on all of us. But of course, as a commission, we were really excited to see the tennis usage on our courts this year as a good baseline for future years to make sure we right size it for our residents. But obviously COVID threw us a bit of a curveball and in a lot of ways improved some things with tennis. So the high school courts remained open. Starting on May 10th, I believe we started recording with an attendant for a couple of reasons. One is to make sure that the courts were being used by town residents, but also to make sure that people were abiding by the guidelines put forth by CDC and I believe the USTA. People had to register to sign up. So as Steve mentioned, that kept it to town people only. And there was no fee to play. So 400, according to Steve, 450 people have registered. And a little bit later, I'll just put up, we have the daily number of courts being used, both at the high school in Mead, and certainly on days with nice weather, there was a lot of usage. So that was good news. Some kind of less good news is, again, we had some issues opening up the courts at Mead, and this year was a bit of a different issue. Apparently, the vendor that we use had an issue with the number of employees they had, so it seems like they were prioritizing other areas. And I can completely understand it was super challenging, especially if we think back in April and May. So we didn't open the courts until June 13th, I believe. So again, unfortunate, but I think we can all be understanding given what was going on. We just hope that in the future, and I'll touch upon this later, that we can try, and I know that people are being creative with it, but we can try to perhaps incentivize or do something to ensure that the courts open relatively on time. We did just get the newest update on pickleball, so I'll just defer to what Tiger said earlier. So I've also got here, and I want to confirm with Mr. Banco that these numbers are correct because I was surprised. But Mead Park, so the first number you see there are the passes sold this year. So we had 115 adult passes sold as compared to, in the parentheses, 2019. So we nearly doubled adult pass sales, despite the fact that we opened late. Non-residents were up slightly. Seniors were down a bit this year, but still a relatively strong number. And as Steve pointed out earlier, young folks are really taking advantage of tennis. Again, high school, we had, sorry, scroll up, 450 people register. And Steve wanted to mention that I think starting this weekend, we're gonna have new hours for the attendant. So Monday through Friday, if I have this right, it's gonna be 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And on weekends, 8 a.m. to noon, and then again at 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Now, Steve, that doesn't mean that folks couldn't play outside of those times, right? It's just that there won't be an attendant there for registration and check-in.
We're gonna have the attendant on duty. Well, basically 7 days a week. It'll be 8 a.m. to 12 noon and 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Those are the hours we're getting most play. So I figure we'll put the attendant on duty. We get most people signing up. The mid-afternoon hours on weekdays and weekends are a little slow. So I figured rather than have a tenant there, we'll just bring them when we have our busy times. People can still make reservations, but just we don't want to check them in. So
okay, understood. I will open up. Let me share. Let's see if this. Did that show up?
Not yet.
Spreadsheet. Okay. Well, I can disseminate this after. Are we back on the Word doc?
We are.
Okay, great. Basically, I'll just summarize. Steve shared with me the spreadsheet, which shows the amount of courts being used at both the high school and Mead Park. And I would say that on days of good weather, we had upwards of 35 to 45 total courts being used in a day at each location. So Steve could probably give more color on in the past, but to me, it seemed like it was super robust and courts were being used. And if folks would like, we could, I'm sure we could disseminate that information. But the point is that likely due to COVID, people were interested in tennis again. So we have some ongoing topics to discuss, not necessarily tonight, but things to follow on. I know that Tiger, John, Steve, everybody's been working really hard to try to get the courts open early. And I know that there's been talk about some incentives to try to get these vendors to make sure they're open up on time. But gosh, it'd be great to get it done in 2021. So we're here to help. Whatever ideas that people have, you know, let's try to make it happen. So that was the first point. Second, between the high school and Mead Park, does the town provide the right number of courts for our residents? Do we need more or do we need less? Again, this year was going to be hopefully a telling year prior to COVID, just to see the amount of people interested in tennis. But clearly because of COVID, there's a lot more interest. So we'll probably need another year to see if people keep playing tennis the way they are this year. In the future now, I don't know if this gets into different jurisdictions, but are we able to charge a fee for the high school courts? Should we? And if we do, does that mean that we might, the revenue that we generate, is it going to cover the cost for attendance moving forward? And because clearly there was demand for the tennis courts at the high school. And then Steve mentioned a little bit earlier, sounds like clinics are going great. I know we had some new pros doing the clinics last year, and it seems like there's some good follow through this year. But we want to make sure that we're offering the right type of programs for the right people in our town. And that's all I had.
Thank you, Steve. Really good update. Are there any questions? I'll try to page through to see if I can see everyone's hand. If someone would like to unmute, if you have a comment. There we go, I'm back. Any comments or questions? Go ahead, Tiger.
Yeah, Steve, thank you very much. We're as frustrated as you are at the, each year where we run into this issue. So we have been talking about different ways that we could possibly do it to incentivize. And one of them is to actually bid it out on basically with two items. One, guaranteed opening date of, say, May 15, and then another one, guaranteed opening date of June 15, and see what the difference is. problem that we ran into this year was that the monies that we had budgeted, the other contractors, they were outside of our budget range. So the thought is to possibly bid it early, find out what those numbers are, and then float that through the commission to see whether or not it's worthwhile to pay the additional monies to open it up as early as possible or not. And then if so, go to the Board of Finance and the Town Council and the other town fathers to see whether or not they agree. So that is another thought that we have. We were trying a bonus situation, but bonuses become difficult because when you have bonuses, you have to have penalties, and their penalties are difficult to assess. So the thought was to bid it out with 2 separate dates, an early date and a late date, and then see what the difference in cost is and see whether or not that's palatable for the town.
Before Board of Finance locks it down.
Yes.
Yeah, the big thing is the late date's tough because a lot of people get frustrated. They just said, I'm not going to buy a pass because I go away for the month of July, or I'm go away from middle of July to middle of August. It's not worth my time buying a pass, because I think if we're open that first week, or by the 10th of May, 15th of May, we're open. That's when most of the clubs get open and everybody's, excited to get out and playing. And I think that early date's really critical, because I think we could probably sell more passes if we're open earlier.
Well, we can see exactly what that cost would be. I think if we put that into a bid structure and we would see what the incentive would be for the contractor, and then we determine whether or not that was actually palatable for the town. We have to think of something, out of the box, and this is one of the ways we think we might be able to lock in an early date by incentivizing it.
This year brought us a lot of new people as well. As you know, the real estate's really crazy right now in town. We have a lot of new citizens, a lot of new usage by new people in town. That could come and go as well. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. I think it is bringing it alive again, but a lot of them are new people to town. We have a lot of new residents for both the pool and tennis.
It's great to know, B. Thank you. I think there was another comment, or I saw a hand. Go ahead, Francesca, you're muted.
Okay. It's also because the gyms are closed. So, people are doing their activities outside. And tennis has picked up as a result of that too. The Y is closed. It's open now, but it's been closed all the way up until just recently. I wanted to broach the question of why can't the courts be open earlier? And isn't there a way that somebody who is not a town, who is a town resident, but doesn't want to pay for the membership, can book a court and pay a guest fee?
They could play as a guest. They pay $10 as a guest to be parked.
If they are a resident, why do they have to be someone else's guest?
Because then why buy a permit?
That's what I'm saying. If people don't want to buy a permit, I think it should be okay. So they pay, I don't know, $10 or $15 per time that they come. And I just think that the courts are a little bit inaccessible and clubby for being community courts.
You could use the courts at the high school, Francesca, with no fee. You just have to register.
Yes, but the community, the courts at Mead Park belong to the whole community. So it's just a question that I think we ought to think about, because some people go away, like you said, for the month of July or the month of August, and they don't want to pay for the whole membership fee. But maybe for 2 weeks in June, they do want to play tennis with the family. And, to have to be the guest of somebody else when they are a town resident doesn't make sense to me.
Something to think about.
I think there were some...
Carolyn had her hand up. Carolyn, you just have to unmute. There you go.
I just want to emphasize what Francesca has said, because I have been using the high school courts as soon as they opened, playing singles and then moving into doubles. I've been taking my young adult children who are 18, 20, and 22, and we've been using them. And I have a membership at Mead Park. For me to get a membership for my 18, 20, and 22-year-old and my husband, would be $470 because they're over 18. And for me, that pricing structure doesn't work. And the fact that they could use, there are times when the high school is full and I say, okay, you want to play tennis, I'll make a reservation at Mead Park and I'll go with you. And for my young adults, I'd like them to be independent and be able to make those reservations and go and have, you know, I can pay something for Mead Park for them, but I do think it's a little bit excessive that for my family, it's $470. I mean, I'd be willing to pay $300 for the family, but that gets excessive. So when you respond that, why can't they use the high school is booked from 4 to 7 p.m. and it was booked from 9 to 11 a.m. And so you couldn't get in there, and then Mead Park was the only option. So that's what I was doing. And I would really emphasize what Francesca said. I don't understand. There's times when it's so hot out and I take the last reservation at 6 o'clock and the courts close at 7. It's light till 8:30 at night. I do not understand why we lock those courts. Let them be free for use in the town. I don't know what we're protecting by locking them. And also in the morning, I like to get up early. My husband could play before work with me, but the courts are not open, either at the high school or at Mead Park.
Thank you, Carolyn. I'm sorry. Say it again, Steve. I'm sorry.
We have maintenance on the courts. We have to drag the courts overnight, sweep all the lines, and in the morning you got to drag the courts, sweep all the lines again because they get water overnight. So you have to do maintenance. I mean, my people come in at 6:30, 6:45 in the morning to do the maintenance of the courts. You can't get them at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I do think, Carolyn, you have some good suggestions, and Francesca, as far as maybe analyzing that pricing structure and see if there's a family pricing structure or something that makes it amenable and easily used without, you know, robbing you blind of your money. So it's something we'll take a look at.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think town residents should have, it should be a perk to be a town resident.
And I'm going to take it one step further. Having teenagers who lost interest in the pool and now they're sort of college age, that had, for some years, we chose not to get the pool membership, the family membership, because of that. Well, is it worth our money? How many times will we go? And I also think that residents should be able to go for a fee to the pool without having the membership, without being a guest. And I think teenagers and young adults, regardless, should always have access to that pool just for a simple guest fee, because that's how we keep our youth engaged and we give them a place that's safe to be.
Thank you, Caroline. We'll take that under advisement. For the minutes, B, do you need Carolyn's full name? You're on mute, B.
Is that Carolyn Garrity who's speaking?
Prozenka.
No, it's Carolyn Prozenka.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't see her.
Thank you so
Sorry,
much.
this is Deborah Saunders.
Can I
Sorry,
I just wanted to say something. I think a year ago, we wouldn't have had these same comments. I think that the era that we're in right now, everybody's looking for something to do and participation within the community. And so I don't think it was a problem in the past,
I'll
but
just let it play while we have dinner.
okay. Oh, sorry. Dinner?
Jean.
Did I hear dinner?
Notes.
Yeah.
But I think that like there's a lot of new situations that have presented themselves this year with people. All of a sudden, people want to play tennis all the time and golf, and because there's only so many things you can do. So I don't think this was a problem a year ago, but maybe now it is.
I agree. Very good points and suggestions. Thank you both, Carolyn, Francesca, and Laura, all three of you. Deborah, I'm sorry, Deborah Sanders, I think I can read the name. Do you want to unmute? You started to say something. One more time.
Okay, sorry, can you hear me now?
I can, go ahead.
Hey. So I can't figure out my video, so I don't know why that's not working all of a sudden, so I apologize about that. I just wanted to say one thing about the tennis and the time slots, because right now you can only book an hour at a time. Sometimes I'd like to play an hour and a half or 2 hours. Is there any way to increase that for a person to book a longer stretch of time?
I do not know, but it's something we can look into.
That would be great. I really would appreciate that.
You bet. You
It's
bet. I need to
true,
know,
actually.
time slots and pricing.
Yeah.
Thank
Most
you.
doubles games, Rana, go for an hour and a half. In fact, all doubles matches go for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So to be restricted to 1 hour slots gets.
Well, it's kind of been so paddle tennis. We've lost a lot of hours. People can't get playing because people are booking an hour and a half. They don't play the hour and a half. You know, so that's the problem with paddle.
It definitely gets used in tennis for sure. So
That's great.
Yep. And in paddle too. It's got to be figured out better.
Thank you so much. I'll take a look at the time slots and the cost structure.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, ladies. All right, thank you. I don't see any other hands or movement. Do we have any?
Oh,
other-
I'm yes.
Go ahead.
That is talking about the courts, because they are hard true. We had talked about having the court swept as a courtesy. And I think it was you, Steve, put up the wonderful sign that says, please, as a courtesy, sweep your courts after. It would be nice if, I don't know if it is at the, on the site when you sign up, it would be nice to remind people gently that the preference is for you to sweep and sweep the lines. The sweepers and the line clearers are all there for everybody to use. We always do it. And I'd like to suggest strongly that people do that.
Thank you, Francesca. Great. Thank you very much. I don't see further comment or questions. No other updates this evening. I'm watching hands and signals. Go ahead, Carl. You're muted.
I have an update for paddle if we're ready for that.
We are. You're next.
All right. So for paddle, what I did was I emailed representatives of the paddle tennis leagues to ask for some of their feedback. There's a gap here. Next year, I'd like to maybe get a survey of all paddle permit holders. So this does skew towards the league players, these observations. But they were very forthcoming. I got some pretty decent feedback. I got feedback from representatives from the Fairfield County Women's Paddle Tennis League, the New Canaan Women's League, the Senior Men's League, the New Canaan Men's League, and the Fairfield County Men's Paddle Tennis League. Key takeaways, it was overwhelmingly positive feedback this year from the leads on the paddle courts, which is not what we've seen in the past necessarily, but very positive feedback on the changes that have been implemented in the last 12 months. The reservation system is deemed to be working well, but it may need a small tweak. I'll get to that shortly. There is demand for the reservation system to be available year round. At the moment, that is not available during the summer months. And the courts require little maintenance. We got some feedback on that. So going through topics that we discussed, first is on the reservation system. There's high marks for the new reservation system and for the fifth court. I'm just going to go through a couple of quotes here. I didn't have any complaints about players not getting the time slots they wanted. 90% of the time you could get a court. The addition of the fifth court and the enforcement of the no-show policy seemed to really help. That no-show policy is a new addition this year, where if a permit holder reserves a court and fails to show up and play or fails to cancel the court in advance of their reservation, there are penalties. The first being they won't obtain a court for 2 days. The second offense being they may not obtain a court for 2 weeks. And the third being a revocation of permit. That seems to have worked well. One possible improvement to the booking system that was suggested was that we came up with this the system where you only could go out a week to book a court to stop people hogging all the spots. But now that means you have to wait until exactly a week to the hour until the time that you would reserve. Some people find that a little frustrating, given that, you know, let's say you're playing at 9 a.m. this week, and then you're scheduling with somebody, let's play next week. What time works for you? Say back 11. I wonder if we could put a little bit of flexibility in there for that. And then for the booking system to be open all year, that was quite popular as well. Of course, the condition of the courts are considered in fairly good condition. Ratings I got here were B+, pretty good to excellent. Resurfacing that was done was nice. And there's some minor issues that people brought up, some loose dead boards. A couple of people brought up that the door on court 2 would not stay shut. A few of the wood panels below the screens were broken. There's some holes in the screens on some courts. Again, I got that comment twice. And then also comments about the nets up top hanging down, but nothing that seemed to be any really large maintenance points there. Condition of the hut, that was considered excellent. A+ I got from one of my respondents. One issue was somebody thought that maybe one of the restrooms was out of action for a while. I was not aware of that. The one wish list item still from the men's league players is they'd feel that they'd use the hut a lot more if there was a TV in there. On the attendants were present and helpful. The attendant was always there during the day. There's no attendant there in the afternoons during the weekdays, but that's normal operating procedure. That's by design. On fees, fees seem reasonable for the most part. A lot of comment from people on the guest fee at $10. That used to be $5. It was bumped up to $10. The feeling was that that worked very well in terms of incentivizing people to get a pass and not just playing as guests of people. So the guest fee at $10 got a lot of thumbs up. One suggestion was the cost of a family permit at $280. People felt that maybe kids don't really play paddle tennis, and there was somebody asked if there was maybe something we might consider for, say, like a household permit, given that typically it might be just, you know, a couple in a house that might be looking to play. And then there was a question. I didn't have the numbers to this, and I wonder if Steve, you could get these to me. The question is, by how much is the annual price increased each season? Somebody had the sense that it's always going up by $10 a year or so. So if we could get a sense for how much has been changing through the years, that would be useful.
We raise our fee by $5 a season, you know, but we've got our expenses go up too, so we've got to cover our expenses. So. They're going to come in. They're going to tighten all the screens sometime in end of July. All the netting on top will be fixed, and they're going to resurface court 2. So that'll get totally surface. So we're going to spend about $4,600 on maintenance of the courts sometime this summer.
Thanks.
Thank you.
As for the season, unfortunately, the seasons were cut short. For all of the leagues, actually, the regular seasons were over by the time that the courts were shut. But a lot of the challenge matches, the playoffs were unfinished at that time. The men's league, in particular, are looking to resume their playoffs in September and October. So I think we should look to maybe opening up our reservation system early in order to help them. So it's not a question of, you know, just got to turn up and hope you get a court. If there was some reservation system at that time, that would help that league in particular get their playoffs completed and start the next season. Onto summer play, that's popular with many. I think we should do more to accommodate that. People saying that the booking system on Hut should be available through the end of the school year at least. People are still playing well into June. Somebody said that they play unless it's excruciatingly hot. So that's where the demand for the reservation system working through the year. People feel that they don't necessarily need an attendant through the summer months. So we could work it on an honor system, but a reservation system would be useful for being confident that you're going to get a court for playing in the off season through the summer months. And then on post-COVID, I asked what safety measures players would like to implement. Most people are like, okay, we got this. We can be trusted to kind of look after ourselves. But a lot of people did say hand sanitizer would be useful. They'd like to see that on site in the hut post-COVID for when play resumes. And then clinics. I don't get too much feedback on the clinics from the league players. But the Women's League representatives did say that town clinics are a vital part of growing the sport for women, and so there's a lot of support there from the leagues, from the Women's League. My question is, when do the is it too early to make a decision on clinics for the full season, and when would enrollment commence for the full season?
Normally start our clinics in October for women, and I don't know we're going to have a fall season at this point. I mean, the APTA hasn't come out with rules. If the men want to resume the summer league, but the APTA guidelines we were told to follow by the governor's office state that you should only play singles. If you play doubles, you play with your family members or a member of the club, and you should not have inter-club or inter-town play. So that we're following. They've got to follow the APTA guidelines. That's what the governor's DECD said. You got to follow those APTA rules. Same thing with tennis. They said you got to follow USTA. The USGA came out with guidelines, and they upgraded their guidelines, but so far the APTA has not upgraded their guidelines yet for summer play.
Right. There's the guidelines that are currently up there at the courts. It says recommends singles play, but then it doesn't necessarily enforce. I can't recall the language, but it seems to be it was suggested to do singles play rather than mandated.
Well, they're suggesting because of social distancing, 6 feet. They're saying that you play doubles, you should play with family members or members of your own club, people you know, that you should not have inter-club play at this time and that's what they're recommending to the APTA.
Right.
But the other thing is summer thing too is we do have everything costs money, and we don't charge a fee for the summer, but we do allow them to use the lights. And a lot of times people are inconsiderate because they'll play and they'll walk up the court, leave the lights on, and they're on a timer. The timer comes on at say 6 o'clock at night. Goes up at 10 o'clock, and it's been a couple of nights where I've driven up there at 8 o'clock at night, and I got lights on 4 courts, and there's not even a soul there. No one's playing, because I didn't turn the switch off. So we're paying for lights when there's no one there. And so that's the one thing that bothers some people, or just don't care. They just walk off. Well, the timer will turn the lights off. They don't turn the switch off if they don't play. Or I'll go up there, and there's guys playing on court 3, and they got the courts on lights on court 2, and lights on court 4 on as well. The lights on court 3. Why do you need to light all these courts when no one's out there? That's what they got. They got it. Maybe we do a thing where we take Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights. We have play from 7 to 10 o'clock. We put an attendant on duty, and you buy a summer permit. Something like that. If you want to do it. So
Right.
that's something to look at.
Okay. Could we have like a motion sensor or something like that for the lights? You have to switch and there's a motion on the court or anything like that?
But when the lights go out, it's dangerous at night.
So what I would say is maybe we look at, if we do summer play, we do summer play 3 nights a week, and you charge a nominal fee to use the courts because it covers your cost of the attendant and the lights. And that might be a way of doing it. I know a couple of times, I think somebody else was doing that. They were doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night to play from 7 to 10 o'clock at night. You paid a certain fee, or you paid a guest fee at night to pay the play. So that might be something.
Right. I certainly got the sense from talking to people that they'd be willing to pay a fee. There's the appetite for that.
Absolutely.
Great.
I would suggest putting some instructions on the lights as well as a paddle tennis player, because I don't always know that it's on a timer or that you have to click it off or how long it's set for. So perhaps some instructions by the lights would help in that respect as well.
Good idea.
All right. That's fine.
Great. Thank you, Carl. Any questions or comments for Carl, anyone? Under everyone's speechless.
The TV, let's bring up the TV in the hut. Has any, Steve, you've told us that the cable just can't work there.
I don't have cable there, and I don't think we have enough bandwidth on the internet to do some TV. So we have to. The big thing is paying the price of the cable vision every month. That's all. So we just have to pay the ticket.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for the updates and for the comments. For Carolyn, Deborah, I appreciate the time. And for the updates, Carl, Steve, you guys, great update. Todd and Steve Dayton also, thank you so much. And Tiger, same for you. If there's no further items, I don't see any hands or anything. Would anyone like a motion to dismiss or motion
Motion to dismiss.
And second by Steve Haverstraw. Anyone opposed? All in favor, and I will miss you guys. We'll see you in September. Everyone stay safe and well. Thank you. Thank you,
You too.
for taking note.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you. You too.